2003. But we will stand up for our democracy.
As more than 50 House Democrats from Texas spend another day in the nation's capital, one of their fellow quorum breakers is a lot closer to the state capital.
Why did you choose to stay behind in Texas?
I had the lower part of my leg amputated and I'm in a wheelchair, and just the logistics of trying to do all that, it just was too hard.
The Texas House voted yesterday to try and track down the missing members, including arresting those still in Texas.
I'm not concerned about it. The reason I'm not concerned is I'm just not going to go.
Representative Coleman said while he technically does not have an excused absence, he says his colleagues know his health situation and he hopes that will be respected.
The issue is democracy going to win out over excessive greed?
In 2003, he led more than 50 House Democrats to Ardmore, Oklahoma to stop a redistricting bill. Now, 18 years later, he says there's a difference with this quorum break.
It's an action that is actually getting a result out of the Congress.
Today, Republicans in Austin once again criticized the Democrats who broke quorum.
So the work we're doing for the people of Texas is being wasted and squandered by people being out of this state.
But Representative Coleman argues he is representing his constituents.
My job is to kill those bad bills.
He says by protecting their rights. Adam Bennett, KHOU 11 News.
Tonight, Governor Greg Abbott is in Austin watching everything play out. He joins us now live, and we want to let our viewers know because of technology, there will be a slight delay between my questions and the governor's answers. Thank you for joining us. First up, Governor, the voting bills in Texas would end drive-through voting, extended voting, 24-hour voting. Popular in Harris County, gave people more access. Why isn't that a good thing?
Well, let's be clear about something. That 24-hour voting is something that our research shows has never been done in Texas, has never been done in the United States, and I can assure you this, there's no constitutional right to have 24-hour voting. And there is a reason why there is a law to ensure that 24-hour voting will not be put into place in the state of Texas, and that's because of the right in Texas law to have poll watchers to be able to watch the polls around the clock to make sure that there is no illegal voting taking place. Know this, however, and that is the Texas law that is being proposed adds more hours to voting than what previously exists. Texas is making it far easier to vote time-wise than ever before. There's nobody of any type of background, economic, racial, or what otherwise, who would be deprived of their ability to vote. All the arguments saying that this is a deprivation of the right to vote are completely bogus because everyone is going to have the ability to vote under the expanded time periods that Texas is providing to ensure that everybody will have a chance to vote.
Let me ask you this, Governor. Democrats say the push for election reform is to bolster President Trump's claims that the 2020 election was stolen. Do you think the election was stolen?
Let's be clear about something. What we're doing with regard to the election laws in Texas have absolutely nothing to do with this last presidential election. They do, however, have something to do with something that President Biden is very familiar with, because when President Biden was vice president, two things happened. One, there was a federal judge appointed by Barack Obama in Corpus Christi, Texas, who wrote in an opinion that voter fraud occurs, quote, in abundance in Texas with regard to mail-in ballots. Also, the Obama-Biden administration sent an FBI team as well as U.S. prosecutors from the Southern District of Texas to prosecute voter fraud where people were using cocaine to buy votes in Texas elections. Everyone understands voter fraud does occur in the state of Texas, and we need to ensure always, every election, that there is integrity in the election process. But going back to what I said earlier, we are achieving that integrity while also increasing the number of hours that people have to vote and making it easier to vote than ever before in the history of the state.
Okay, Governor, I know we've done our own investigation. In the last 5 years in Texas elections, 197 voter fraud complaints out of millions of votes. I just want to point that out. I want to go back to my question. Do you think that there was the election was stolen in the 2020 presidential race?
I know what happened in Texas, and what we know what happened in Texas, as you all have reported.
Governor, please, with respect,
I know,
do you think the election was stolen?
I'm going to answer. I'm going to answer what I know about, and what I know about is what happened in Texas. And I think that the outcome of the elections in Texas were valid. However, as you know, as you have reported, there was a case of election fraud in Houston, Texas, where somebody voted illegally in Houston, Texas. I don't know how many people voted illegally in the state of Texas. I don't think it altered the outcome of what happened in the state of Texas, but that is what I know, and what I keep in track of is what the voting outcomes are in the state of Texas. Was there voter fraud this last election in Texas? Yes. One of those cases, a man was arrested in Houston, Texas last Friday for voter fraud in this last election. There are other cases of voter fraud in the state of Texas this last election. It was not enough, however, to change the outcome of the election.
So the fact that you don't think, as the president said, President Trump said, the election was stolen. No comment on that?
Yeah, I do have a comment on it, and that is I feel confident that the way the election outcomes turned out in the state of Texas, they turned out validly for everybody, despite the fact there are known cases of voter fraud that took place this last election.
All right, doesn't quite answer the question, but Governor, thank you. We're staying on top of the voting reform showdown. Our live coverage continues tonight at 10. You can take a closer look at our Verified Team's report on who is footing the bill for the Dems' trip to D.C. It's all on KHOU.com. Ahead, healing a